Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's video I'm going to show you I'm basically restoring this BMW airhead from 1975 I believe. And I'm going to be changing the fork seal. So I've already given the seat to be reupholstered. The seat was a little torn, and we have already done the carburetor clean. I didn't make any video on that, but yeah, we had the carbs clean. We have to sync it, which I will do later. Just check the synchronization. But now we're gonna do the fork seal, since the fork seals are leaking a bit. So I have already ordered it and got the fork seals, and I wanted to show you how to do the fork seals on these old vintage BMW airheads. This is a R90/6, but this will work on most of the airheads. They should be the same procedure. So starting off, we're gonna obviously remove this bolt, and then we're gonna remove the bolt for the caliper at the bottom over here. I'll just tell you exactly which one that is in a second. Okay, so you're gonna need a 19mm for this one. You're gonna open it. There's gonna be a spring inside, and then we're gonna use an Allen a bolt to remove the shaft from the inside. I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so I couldn't actually film this, but I have all the parts, and let me just demonstrate it for you a little bit. So this is the 19mm nut that you're going to take out, or the bolt, sorry, that you're going to take out. There's going to be a spring inside which holds it, so all the way throughout it's going to have some resistance while coming out. And that's it. After you do that, there is the only other thing that is inside for removing the caliper is this whole shaft that looks somewhat like a camshaft. But now the way to remove this is you can use this size. This is basically the same size as the one that goes inside it, this one. So you can, if you remove this bolt, you can actually fit this fit these threads inside over here. You can thread it in here on the bottom. That's basically from here. Then you're going to have something like this, which is actually the threads catch into this, and then you can use a plier or something. Sometimes even if you with your hands it comes out, but I had removed this recently, so it came out easily. But yeah. Okay, so now that you have the shaft removed and that spring removed, I'm just gonna keep it to the side. This thing should slide off, and obviously you're gonna need to remove the bolt over here. And then I just slid the whole caliper out and I placed it on the ground. It's a good thing. You can the hose is pretty long, so it'll just sit on the ground like that. Now the next thing that we're going to need to do is excuse me, we also have to remove these, and we have to remove the fender, but we can do that after removing the wheel as well. Not a big deal. So we are going to remove this bolt. This is the locking bolt for this thing, and then we can open this one. This one seems like an Allen. I don't know the exact size, but you'll have to figure that out. There's one over here as well, and then you have this one hole over here, so you can put like a screwdriver or something, so that this doesn't spin while you're opening the bolt on this side. And then obviously you're going to have the drain bolt at the bottom, but I think we can drain it. We will drain it once we remove the wheel. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to remove the wheel, and then we'll go into the next step of draining it. Okay, so I've removed the two Allen bolts as mentioned from here and from the other side, and I have loosened this. Of course, you're going to need, like I said, you're going to need the screwdriver some thin rod that goes in through this hole to hold it, because this is going to rotate along with that. So while doing that, you can just loosen this. Once it's loosened, it should just come out with your hand. And these are, just to let you know, these are the Allen bolts, and this is the Allen I've used. I don't know the size, so forgive me for that, but I have like a pile of Allen wrenches over there, so I just fit different ones and see. Now after you do that, you're going to just remove this, and then you're going to knock the knock the whole axle out from this side a little bit, and then you can pull it from the other side, and then that's how the wheel should come off. There's nothing else holding the wheel on, so that's it, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so now that we have got the wheel off, here I have the axle. You can see I've removed the axle, and now you will be left with this. Now all we need to do is underneath here, if you can see that nut, there's a nut, not the bigger one, the smaller one. This is a 13 millimeters. You're going to use a 13 millimeter to open that, and that's going to drain all the fluid out. So before you remove the fender, I would suggest you remove that and drain it, because if you have the fender off, then this is going to want to rotate, and then you're going to have a hard time doing it if you're doing it all by yourself, like me. Right now I'm doing it all by myself, and especially if you don't have a impact gun. I'm going to try to do this without an impact gun. I have an impact gun, but yeah. So once I drain both of these, I am going to remove the fender and then pull each of the forks off and change the seals on the fork, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay guys, so I have actually got the forks out, as you can see. Not the whole fork, but basically this thing. So I did mention that you can open the fender after you loosen those bolts, but I also have some recommendation. I think I would suggest if you remove the fender first and then go to those bolts, because then there is a high chance that once you loosen the bolts, you try to go and open the fender, which actually happened to me. So both of them started dropping down at the same time, and I made a little bit of a mess at the bottom. But so just to avoid that, I mean, you can do that. You can take it along with the fender as well. You can take both of them out along with the fender as well. It just makes the job easier. If you can handle it, then sure. If not, then I would prefer, before you loosen the bolt underneath this thing, you remove the fender and then you go to the bolt. After that, you can do the procedure, and you can remove each of the forks. Now the fork seal is right here, and we're going to remove that with a flathead screwdriver or something. So be careful when you're popping this out, because you don't want to scratch the inside surface or anything like that. So be very careful, but you just put a flathead screwdriver underneath here at the bottom place, and you just pry up, and it should start coming out. It's not too much difficult. And then once that's out, I will tell you the next process. Alright guys, so I actually forgot to film the part where I was actually putting the seals, but I couldn't film it anyways because I was using one hand and I don't have my tripod on me right now. But like I said, you have to use a flathead screwdriver to get the old seal off, and then you can just drive the new seal on here while this is off. There is some video where a guy is actually sliding the seal on this top fork, and then putting this here and then using a tool to actually slide it inside. But you don't need to do that. You can actually just simply drive the seal in this base over here, and you can just slide the base on the top. That's it. Another thing is, to drive the seal inside, what I used the old seal to keep it on top of the existing seal. This is the old seal, and I use a 38 millimeter socket or something. If you have a big anything else, if you have a round cylindrical piece of metal or something like this with this size, you can just keep it on top, use a hammer and drive it inside. Be very careful to not damage the seal or anything like that. And once you're done, all we need to do is now to add the fluid. So we have to open this cap over here. You have to just turn it anti-clockwise. Apparently there's some special tool that they have for rotating this, which I don't have. So we're going to use like vice grips or cobra pliers to actually grab this and to turn it clockwise. Once you turn it a little bit, it should open by hand the rest of the way, and then we can add the fluid directly in here. So I'm going to open that. Okay, so like I was saying, this cap comes off. This is threaded. I've used these bent pliers to actually open this, which actually made it easier. You can just use the bent portion to grab onto the holes, and you can turn it. So, or you can use some other tool if you have. But yeah, once you've done that, it looks like this, and then you're just gonna use a long funnel or a syringe or whatever you have, and just pour about 250 milliliters of fork oil, or you can use transmission fluid. It does the same job. I've used transmission fluid. You can use fork oil if you have, but basically anything works. And 250 milliliters, and you can close it, and then that's done. And the rest of it is just the reverse of what we did. Gonna put the fender back, the wheel back, and just make sure everything is just in reverse order. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.